The first group is all about technology, so let's kick into it. AI. AI is getting a huge amount of airtime, but it's just as big a topic as saying the internet or the Internet of Things. It is absolutely massive. It is never ending. It is changing at a dynamic pace. That's the whole purpose of cognitive functions and machine learning and acceleration around it. The reality here is it is one of the greatest inventions to distract people ever. So this is what you must do with the mindset of sales manager. You need to use it for good and not use it for distraction. Social media was probably the last big innovation that distracted people from being productive lives. Before that, arguably, it would have been the television. Before that, the radio. Before that, probably the printing press. Please focus on the bits that are relevant. These are some of the things that are relevant. Industry insights, when you don't have time to do market research, whether it's international industry insights or domestic ones, there's a lot more information that AI, such as ChatGPT, can give you access to. Competitor insights and competitor research, names of competitors and things like that. Top 10 hotels to target, top 10 chemical companies to sell to, top 10 whatever. Again, competitor insights are useful, market insights are useful, and especially content creation. But here comes the proviso. Often marketers complain that salespeople don't give them enough information. Well, with AI, marketers can access good information, so can salespeople very, very quickly. But you must take ownership. AI generally follows the American rule, just like most podcasts, most newsletters, most business amounts of accounts and recommendations. So remember, they're going to spelling-wise shove a bunch of Z's or Z's into a bunch of words like organization. They're going to tailor it and drop the OUR out of things like flavor and just have OR because they can't be bothered, again, with all respect to Americans on use of the English language. But it's going to be slanted towards North America. So what you could use AI for content creation, for your LinkedIn posts, for your newsletters, for your podcasts, for your interview questions for clients and everything else, is use it for 80% of the production of content, but the last 20% engage your brain and edit it, whether that's done by you or the marketing team. It's an amazing tool. Don't use it for too many things. Don't get distracted. Number two, keeping up to date with technology. I reckon I've been asked every fortnight for 20 years, which CRM should we use? In fact, some of those periods we probably ask daily, which CRM should we use? No CRM is perfect. What you're trying to do as a sales manager is lead a team to use whatever CRM system you've got as perfectly as you can. Why? Because we can control and influence what our team is. We can't control and influence what software developments are going to be the case. Right now in CRMs in Australasia, HubSpot seems to be winning. Before that, Salesforce seemed to be winning. But going back 5, 10, 15 years, vTiger and Sugar and Act and other things around the world were winning. Most CRMs seem to have a 3 to 5 year period of being dominant, and then others mimic them, they discount below them, and then they push them out to the market share. The reality here is you've got to focus on the technology that's going to help you. So technology and apps that's going to help you track the time allocation of your team members, such as how many hours did they spend face-to-face with clients? How long was each phone call? How many phone calls did they make? And can I please stress again, and I shouldn't have to after 20 years, we only care about connect calls. When I work in our academy with small groups, all one-on-one with private customers, when somebody tells me, I want to scream, when somebody tells me how many times they picked up the phone or headset and dialed a number, I just want to shake them. It's an irrelevant measure. Oh, but our system measures it automatically. I don't care if your system measures it. We only care about face-to-face time with customers, Zoom or Teams times with customers, or phoning customers, or emails to customers, or messages to customers, or direct mail or message on social media. We care about interactions. So whatever app that might track how much time and distance people travel in your team, if you've got territory managers, those are useful technologies. But the most useful technology that you've got is your CRM. And it's way more affordable now. But again, golden rule, please. Can we please make it cloud-based? If you're on a server base and syncing happens at different times, you're going to massively demoralize and disempower your salespeople. And that's going to fight against you as a sales manager because they're going to refuse to update the system because your system takes so long to update and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We really shouldn't in 2025 be debating should we or shouldn't we have a CRM, and we shouldn't be debating should we use it correctly or not. We should all be using that. If you've only got 200 customers, a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet will be perfectly fine. But beyond that, 2,000 customers, you better have a good CRM. Okay, number 3, overload. This goes again alongside the first two. In the case of the first two, AI and keeping up with technology, it's this wonderful world in the last 20 years that's only ever increased where we get this huge amounts of data. Huge amounts. In fact, so much of it is useful and rich data. But then we have the other side, we could lead to burnout specifically because we've got overload. As we teach people in our persuasive selling process, on average, most humans in the modern world are bombarded by 14 to 15,000 different messages every single day. I would imagine sales managers possibly have in excess of 20,000 individual bits of data and information given to them every single day, assuming they drive to work, assuming they have access to the internet and other forms of social media. Again, to stress, you don't want to get burnt out. Remember, if you're burnt out and fatigued, you're not going to think quickly or accurately. So you'll make mistakes. As a result, your team's going to make mistakes. In fact, it will compound those mistakes, and you're going to lose your time, energy, and your focus. So what you've got to realize is you've got to allocate certain times of the week to do the data analysis and no more. You've got to set some disciplines in place, probably some external accountability to another manager, for example, to hold you accountable, to not lose yourself in data overload, because burnout, you'll be no use to anybody. If you've got questions on that, stick around at the end or ask the questions in the webinar chat. Second group, external pressures. There's been a massive swing around buyer expectations. That's a long-term trend. And of course, a massive long-term trend around greater competition. So let's address those two. Buyer expectations. It's not a new thing that buyer expectations have been changing. I don't know why that remains a fear for sales managers, but you know what? The research that we use through AI to identify these top 10 fears and talking to customers to verify that they're legitimate shows that yes, buyer expectations seems to be a fear of sales managers. It's always been the case. Sadly, the trend has been away from loyalty and towards disloyalty. So that then throws up a number of different things for sales, marketing, and customer service, which then flows through to admin, finance, and operations. In a world where customers are willingly becoming disloyal, actively judging harshly, openly becoming more cynical, we've got to work harder in our proactive account management, in our prospecting process, in our pitching process, in our fact-finding process. That's sales. We've got to work harder at consistency around our marketing communication. Our messaging's got to be absolutely on point these days or it gets judged harshly. And at a customer service level, we've got to keep raising our customer service standards year on year on year in order to maximize the fact of keeping our customers and maximizing referrals. Now, that's become an increasing topic that Joe and I have had to get involved with, helping people track what's referred to as CX, customer experience. Obviously, marketers talk about CX from a website perspective, but they don't tend to talk about it right through the organization. We are living in a judgmental world. That is a topic that directly impacts sales, marketing, customer service people. But of course, if our finance, admin, or operational team aren't aware of that, they're not going to raise the game and they'll cripple the other three sides of our business. So please keep that in mind. Ultimately, customers want the right solutions at the right time, delivered in the right way. So fact finding and asking great questions whenever you're interacting on the phone, via email, or in person or in Teams, ultimately is critical and is non-negotiable. That has increased in importance, not decreased over the last 20 years. At the same time, proactive behaviors, such as proactive nurturing or account management of your existing customers, that is required these days. 20 years ago, it was almost, in Australasia in particular, it was this added bonus of you did it, no one else did it. Well, now most people are doing it, so now you need to do it to a higher level. Number 5, greater competition. Obviously, with international trade and with globalization, unless there's protectionism in place, I'll address that in a moment in the context of what's going on in America, that will probably have ripple effects around the world. In the increased competition is definitely well and truly here. Most people who've been alive and in the world of sales and marketing for a while realize that you can go to new geographies better than ever before. You can reach international markets better than ever before. But then sometimes your manufacturers and suppliers throw together a website and a Facebook page and off they go, and they can sell internationally against the very people they're supplying. Sometimes, and I want to caution you on this, sometimes I find our clients who are doing import distribution build up a client from being a B grade client to an A grade client to an A plus or key account. And at that point, their accountant steps in and says, why do we cut them out the loop and go direct? So some of our clients that we've seen over the last 20 years, this is not just Australasia, we've seen it in America and Canada, we've seen it in UK and Europe a lot as well. They target big customers, but the very customers they target actually become a direct competitor because they can cut them out because it's worth taking the risk themselves and going direct. So just watch out for that. Now let's just touch on protectionism. The one good thing to protect you at the moment with competition from international or from global is that right now, the way America has lent, going with Donald Trump, they're going to put a lot of, and they're currently doing this, putting a lot of protectionism in and around their imports. Generally, it becomes a tit for tat process economically and politically. If they put a margin, such as on Australian steel right now, then typically Australia will respond in kind. As a result, America responds in kind. As a response, Australia responds in kind. And then everyone thinks, well, Australia is doing it to America. They're going to strike against us, so we'll do it against Australia. Australia responds in kind. Europe also has, since Brexit and other things, other internal pressures, Brexit is starting to do protectionism against Britain. It's been moving that path for about the last 3 years. That will be a continued trend, I believe. Likewise, protectionism against America and vice versa. So I suspect that there'll be just a little bit of a shaking up globally. Obviously, domestic car producers and other things are moving domestically into America. Otherwise, they have these massive tariffs of 25% or more. So I suspect the global competition will just be a bit shaky at the moment. It's not going to increase dramatically, but when it settles down in 2 to 3 years or at the end of the current economic or political scope or policy at the moment in America, it'll probably settle back down again. So keep that in mind. That'll get easier.